Today, I do like to share with you three things that I learned from bonsai trees that have nothing to do with bonsai trees at all. They're just things that I learned about life. And these are very simple things, but I think they're also quite powerful. So let's jump right into it. Now, one is about patience. When we look at this bonsai tree, we're looking at something that's hundreds of years old. But when we think about its size, we realize that this tree could be thousands of years old and still be this small. We know that there are species of trees that grow very quickly, and then there are species that grow very slowly. This particular one is known for growing extremely slowly. Now, I don't know exactly how many years it takes for this tree to grow an inch, but I would guess it's decades. The thing is that it has only grown this way because of the conditions it has been exposed to. It's been exposed to pruning, to root pruning, to a very specific type of soil, and to being planted in a pot. All of those factors combined have led to this miniature version of what that tree would look like if it were growing in the wild. If this tree were not subjected to these elements that keep it small, it would be huge. So why do we care? Well, in our lives, we sometimes want things to happen faster than they need to. You know, maybe we want to get married or buy a house or have kids or get a new job. And we're waiting and we're like, when is it going to happen? And sometimes it feels like we're not getting any closer to that goal. And then when it finally happens, we're so busy waiting for it to happen that we forget to enjoy the process. So my invitation to you today is, depending on what you're going through, try to enjoy the process. Try to enjoy where you're at in your journey. You know, maybe there are some things that you want to change and you want them to change fast. But maybe there are other things that are good and that you should be enjoying. Like, take a deep breath, look around, and see what you can be grateful for right now. The second thing that I learned from bonsai trees is about letting go. And I know that sounds really heavy, but it's actually a really simple concept. So the way that bonsai trees are pruned is by removing branches. That's it. And that might sound kind of violent, like, whoa, you're just taking away from it. Like, what kind of monster does that? But think about it. If you don't prune a bonsai tree, it will die. It needs to be pruned. It needs to have its roots pruned. It needs to be kept in a pot, all of which limits its growth. And the reason why we do that is because in nature, there is competition. There are other trees and plants and animals that are competing for space and for food. And that forces a tree to grow in a certain way. The branches grow towards the sun, the roots go deep to find water. But when you remove those constraints, then you get a plant that is struggling to figure out what to do with all the space that it has. So by pruning it, you're giving it direction. Now, when we think about our lives, we tend to hold on to things that we think we need to make us happy. Things like relationships or jobs or even trauma, right? Sometimes we hold on to trauma because it's familiar to us, and we have no idea how to live without it. And that's what we think we need. But the truth is that sometimes we need to let go of things in order to make room for new things to come in. You know, like when we prune a bonsai tree, we are making room for new growth. So my invitation to you today is to think about anything that might be limiting you. And that could be anything from a toxic relationship to a job that doesn't make you happy to trauma. And ask yourself, am I holding on to this because I think I need it? Or am I holding on to this because it is familiar and I'm scared to let go of it? Because if it's the latter, then there's a chance that you might actually be better off without it. And the third thing that I learned from bonsai trees is resilience. When you prune a branch, you can't undo it. You can't just be like, oh, I've changed my mind. Let's put it back on. That's it. It's gone. You can paint over it. You can try to hide it, but it's still there. It's still a part of the tree, even though it's not a part of it anymore. And that mirrors how we face things in life that we cannot undo. Maybe we say something and we can't take it back. Maybe we miss an opportunity and that opportunity is never going to come again. Maybe we lose someone we love and death is irreversible. These are things that we cannot change, but we can choose how we respond to them. When we prune a bonsai tree, we leave a scar on it, but that scar becomes part of the tree's history. It becomes part of its story. And then as the tree grows, it covers up that scar and it becomes less and less visible. And this mirrors how we as humans can choose to respond to things that happen to us. We can choose to be bitter about it. We can choose to let it define us. We can choose to carry that weight on our shoulders, or we can choose to let it be a part of our story, a part of who we are, and move forward. My invitation to you today is to think about something in your life that you cannot undo, something that you're carrying with you. And ask yourself, am I carrying this with me because I think I need to? Or am I carrying this with me because it is heavy and I do it know how to let it go? Because if it's the latter, then you're better off without it. So there you have it. 3 things that I learned from bonsai trees that have nothing to do with bonsai trees. And I hope that they're helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.